So let's pretend like somebody watching this or listening has never heard of color therapy. Can you share with us what is color therapy? How can we use it with cats, and why should we?
Okay, brilliant. So, color therapy essentially is where you offer your cat different colors to help them heal. That's the bottom line. To delve a little deeper into that, so I support cats with the seven main chakras. Now, chakras are energy systems essentially in the body. We've got them as humans, animals have got them. I just deal with the seven main ones. There are others, but let's just keep it simple. So, each of the seven chakras is associated with a different color, as you can see from my logo. So it starts at red, which is the root. And if you come over here to my other thing, the root is like at the top of your hips, at the bottom of your core of your body, and they go all the way up through our body up to the crown, which is the top of the head. Now, obviously, with cats, it's slightly different, but it's around the base of the tail, the tummy area, up through the body, up to the top of their heads. So between their eyebrows and the top of their head. So when you when there's a blockage in a chakra, when there is an issue with the energy not moving and flowing, it can cause a problem. So, for example, if a cat doesn't feel particularly grounded, and us humans can relate to that, they may feel on edge, they may feel anxious, nervous, cautious, etc. Now, with color therapy, you can use color to help your cat to feel grounded. But there are a couple of key things to note. So, the first is the way I use color therapy, in fact, all of my modalities, I give the cat a choice. So I never force it onto a cat. I don't put the color in their cat bed. I don't, use colored food bowls. I give them the opportunity to work with the color because essentially what you're doing is say to them, "Hey, what is it you need to feel better?" That's the bottom line. What do you need to feel better? So as humans, we might fancy a walk in nature, or we might fancy, time on the sofa with a box set. Now, either of those will help us to feel better, but in different ways. And that's what happens with color therapy. So you're giving your cat a choice to essentially feel better. If you can put the seven colors down, which we'll come on to more in just a minute, it gives them more opportunities to heal. So you're giving them, a walk in nature option or, time with the box set option because you're enabling them to work with different parts of their body. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I want to jump ahead to a question that I just thought of based on your answer. So you're saying we shouldn't kind of like force it on them. The question I was gonna ask in a few minutes is one that I thought of because Mia, one of my previous cats, she didn't like going to the vet or car rides, even.
Hmm.
And so I thought that, well, perhaps putting a color in her cat carrier, once, we use that to travel to the vet would be maybe a way to make her calm. But then that wouldn't have been her choice, right? She would kind of been forced to use that. So what would have been a better it sounds like laying out colors and seeing which she would choose would be a better option for that, particular scenario?
Yeah, so for that situation, there's two options really. So the first is you could get a small piece of colored fabric, so like a post-it size,
Mm,
and put that in her carrier, so it's not as kind of powerful, not as intense. But yes, like you said, the better option would be to lay out the 7 colors, tell her you're going to the vet, talk to her, let her know what's going on, say to her, "Look, I'd love to support you with color therapy before we go. Can you tell me which one you want to use, which one you want to work with?" And it's really about looking for those kind of signs. So an obvious one, obviously, the cat goes to lay on it, but sometimes they're not that obvious. That's why we need to pay attention because it might just be that they sniff at one and walk away or walk past and put their paw near one. So you can give them the opportunity to show you. And if you ask them, they will. You just got to pay attention.
yeah, I've learned that with some of the, amazing, feline experts that I've interviewed is to talk to the cats and ask them questions, and they'll let you know. Are there specific colors that help with certain issues such as stress, energy, relaxation, things like that?
Definitely. So everything that you need to know about chakras is in my cat chakra book. The colors,
Okay.
sorry, is in my cat chakra book. So I've got the first half is about how to use energy, and the second half is about all of the seven main chakras. And it's about sharing with you which conditions are linked to which chakra and therefore which color. So, for example, if you've got like Leo, very anxious cat, he's ex feral, he doesn't trust easily. I've got reds in the home. You know, he actually has a red collar at the moment, although we are switching to green because he gave me a nudge that he wants to try a green one. So for stressed and anxious cats, it's about needing grounding, so you give them red to support them. If you've got a cat that's potentially a bit kind of reserved, maybe they used to be quite loving, but they're not as much. If they're showing signs of stress or anxiety, green's a great color because that supports the heart chakra, which is about feeling loved and feeling safe. So it really depends. So yes, you can use different colors for different either behavioral issues and also physical issues because the chakras are connected to different parts of the body, different glands, different systems, different parts that really help the body to function. So, if, for example, if you've got a cat that's got like diarrhea, you know, again, you want to think about red, so think about the part of the body and how you can support it. But the key really is we don't know what cats need to heal. We can have a guess, we can have a go. You can read through the book, you can find, you know, um the chapter on, let's say, the throat chakra. You know, you can read up all about it, but essentially only your cat knows, which is why I often put a variety down, you know, whether I'm using herbs or color. With color, it's really simple because you can use whatever you've got in your home. So we're talking like a pair of pants, socks, post-its, paper, tops, you know, anything you've got, find the 7 main colors and put them down and try to put them in places where they're not going to be disturbed. So, you know, you don't want it near a litter tray, you don't want it near a food station. You know, you want it somewhere that smells like you. So like the front room, we've got a couple in our front room and we've got a couple in our spare room. So it's about giving them the opportunity to use what they need to when they need to, which is why I generally say to people, don't put it in cat bed, you know, because you don't want to displace them from somewhere that's safe and comfortable. You know, imagine if I said to you, you have to put this red jumper on right now. Like, you know, you may not want to wear red today.